shit set up to do a video. Like, kind of laying in bed, thinking about something. Um, Something that I heard Stan Efferding talk about, which is that you can be good at anything, but not everything. And I guess I forgot how he phrased it, but like, you can be good at, or yeah, I remember now. He became like the best powerlifter and was one of the best bodybuilders, but he said he didn't do them at the same time. He did one, then he retired from it, and he did the other. But he kind of maintained one while doing the other, or not even that. I don't know. If you think about Stan Efferding, I guess he did his got his bodybuilding career, got his what was it, Emerald Cup, got his pro card, won that Emerald Cup, and had a good physique, did well in bodybuilding. Then he went to powerlifting, and when he went to powerlifting, focus went into powerlifting, and then he had to sort of lose his shape for bodybuilding, put on body fat, and just like, I don't know, a few other things, like focus on a new goal and stuff. And I bet when he did that, like was kind of scary. It wasn't easy, because there was a fear that, you know, you're gonna lose what you've grown or what you've built or something. But nevertheless, he did it, and he kind of succeeded at it. But the kind of terms that I'm having to come to myself is that it's hard when you're building towards one thing, and I think what it is that it doesn't mean that you're giving up on the one thing. Like, if it's a goal and it's meaningful to you, then and you want to achieve it, then you'll do something to go and achieve it. And potentially taking this time to maintain the one thing, the one field, and to grow the new field will be worth it, because when you grow the new field, then you can go back to the old field and start to grow that again, and you have all the skills from the new field that transfer and kind of affect the old one that you had to maintain for a while. So if you think about it, it's like you're growing one thing, and you kind of maintain that one thing. You begin growing another thing, which is very like low level at that point, and then you grow that second thing while you're maintaining the first, I guess, or just kind of letting it have it be. You don't have to neglect it, but you can maintain it. You don't aggressively grow it. And then once the second thing is kind of grown, then you could grow both, maybe very steadily or slowly. You can grow one a little more than the other, but continue to grow both. And you can kind of find the balance you want between the two. Maybe aggressively grow one, very tiny bit grow the other one, or vice versa. Or you just kind of medium-wise grow both of them at the same time, which, I mean, it's an option. It might not be the best. Or but other things, I mean, there's a lot of other things. And if, let's say, you stay on the first bar and you're growing it, and then like you have the other one that's very low, and you keep wanting to grow only the first one, even though you want to grow the second one, but you're not touching it, what happens is that you reach sort of a plateau with the first one, and inevitably you're kind of stalled out growing it, and you'll be slowly growing it. But if you take some time, go into that growing that second one while that first one will be maintained, if you had put all your energy into that first one for longer, it would inch progress and stuff. But then when you take the focus off it for a while and you put it on into this new field, it's not only is it not neglected, but then like your unconscious brain kind of works on what it can do in that other field at that time, like the original one, which you've kind of taken your energies away from, and it will kind of be working on, okay, what to do in that field for the future. And at the same time, you're in the second field where growth is new and it's expansive, and it's kind of explosive and can really grow aggressively because it's very new and you're like at an early stage of things. And you grow the second thing, and you'll learn lessons, you'll learn virtues, you'll learn how to become a beginner at something again, which like you'd kind of forgotten, as like you'd gotten to like a fairly high level with the first thing. And you'll learn all these different things that when you decide to maintain the second thing and go back to the first again to grow it, suddenly you have all these new things that you can apply to it. Plus you have whatever your unconscious brain kind of worked on to further grow the first thing, you know. And now you have all the skills and the resources and the abilities of the second thing. And something else to consider is that if the second thing had things that positively contribute to the first thing, you can only get those benefits by taking some time to grow the second thing in the first place. And have some time where you just back off on the first thing, you learn the second thing, you learn to grow it. And that's the only way you can get the benefits from it, you know, that will then you can then pour into the first one again. So I think the lessons from all this are that something that needs to happen time to time is that you kind of you're building one thing, and then you gotta shift focus and put some energy into this, you know. Maybe it's like that thing that you don't put all your eggs into one basket. You put a little bit here, a little bit there, grow this a little bit, and grow that a little bit. And one thing kind of complements the other, helps the other to grow. You learn a lot in one field that helps the other to continue to grow and stuff. And I'd argue too, real quick, that people that would argue that, oh, you know, well, some certain people did all this in only one field and they only had one field their whole life, I'd say that maybe that's kind of bullshit. That I'm sure, like, even the people that seem like they only did one thing, like Kobe Bryant or someone, like, they had time. There's an in-season and an off-season. Oh my fucking god, that's like so genius. And it's important to consider that they had times where they're not training aggressively. Maybe they're balancing, or they're maintaining, or they're not working to grow that much at all, and they're just kind of chill. They're just kind of stable and being there and stuff. They have an off-season. They have time where their bodies are resting, and they're fucking not building aggressively. They're not growing aggressively. They're kind of balanced. They're kind of chill, and they're kind of letting things maintain. And at that time, they can kind of grow the other fields that they're working on, or the other projects that they're working on, or focus on the other areas of their life. Not focus as aggressively on basketball and or whatever their field is. And during that time, their unconscious mind, their subconscious mind can focus and process some lessons that they've learned, and come up with new insights that they wouldn't have been able to if they hadn't taken that time off, you know. And so when they get back into in season after a few months, suddenly they have all this new stuff that they can tackle things with, that they can contribute and contribute to their training, implement in their training, implement in the game, and with their team, with other people. And suddenly they have all these things that they can do, and like they can grow this old field back in a better way, versus if they had just tried to keep going and keep the season going when the season's over, and keep aggressively growing. Even then, it would inch progress at best, and they'd be neglecting other things that if they focused on those other things for a while, those would kind of massively contribute to the growth of the first thing, you know. And it's like counterintuitive, because you're taking time away from the first thing for a good while, a good bit, but it would help and it would be important. And I don't know how much charge I have, so I want to keep it kind of short. I'll say real quick, like I think Kobe Bryant, like when he wouldn't play basketball, he'd study other fields. Which is very fascinating. You know, he'd call the head designer of Apple, Johnny Ive. He'd call, and he'd just like pick his brain, and he'd ask him questions. He'd call just brilliant people in different fields that like he didn't know very much about or anything about, but he did that to gain insights and to gain wisdom while he's not playing basketball. While, mind you, like he's like kind of chilling and maybe training or maintaining, and kind of balancing, studying his games, and just planning for the in-season, but balanced, not training, not really aggressively working at anything, you know. And he's searching for insights in other fields, looking for kind of wisdom in other fields, and finding ways to implement that back into his first field. So my advice to myself, I guess to anyone watching, but mainly to myself, is that don't feel bad or don't be worried to take that time away from your first field and go into this other field, because you can kind of put what you learn back into it. And if you love it and it's a part of you, like, you'll always find your way back to it. You can always grow it. If you have those goals to grow it to where you want, and you know what you want to hit one day and what you want to do one day, like, it'll be in your mind. You won't forget. If it's meaningful to you, you'll kind of find yourself coming back to it, and have that off season, have that time off, have that time where you're not aggressively building, aggressively growing, having to grow. Have that time where you just lay back and chill, focus on the new field, learn new insights, learn new things that you can apply back into the first field. And in a few months, you can be hitting it again, and you'll be doing things that you've never done before, because you, at that critical moment, took a step back, yielded, took a deep breath, and just maintained.